And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your day.
What a business.
So funny. I love where we work. Just funny stuff.
You're in my decision, your decision and mine, and I think Christian so far. Though I don't know what Christian does after the Saturday show. He probably flexes that celebrity muscle he's got there. Sitting on the sidelines is so much better.
Oh yeah,
don't
sure.
be a star player.
No.
And I mean that in this business.
No. Just hang out and just watch the show.
Watch the show.
Just watch the show.
Don't write the story.
No. No. Don't fall for that temptation. Be boring.
Be boring.
Be boring.
Yep.
It's better. It's way better when you're boring. Well, off the mic anyway.
Yeah.
We try not to bore anybody on the show. That's not exactly what we're talking about. But, quiet personal life.
Yeah.
That's nice. Quiet.
Yep.
Nice and quiet. Speaking of which, this is your kids are in the same district my kids are in. The last day of the Christmas sabbatical.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a month off.
It's wild. Christmas feels like a month ago.
Yeah.
And they were out for like a week and a half before that or whatever it was.
Yep, 19th to the 9th, I think is what it was. 19th to the 9th.
I talked to
7th, sorry. 19th to the 7th.
My Sadie, my 8-year-old, had a friend over, so I talked to her parent for a minute when they came when she came to pick, and I think they have either 3 or 4 kids, but of school age, like younger than high school, right? Like junior high, elementary, or whatever. And it's a very lovely person. Obviously frazzled.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's like, wow, the can't wait for this to come to an end.
Ready
Ready
to get back in school.
Some chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos going around.
And I like the break, but I do think you do the kids a little bit of a disservice. They are so far removed from school now, it's like starting over day one. They've erased school from their memory. Where you're picking up now, you might as well just be starting in August again, or whenever the summer break
Yeah,
ends.
it's going to take you a month to catch back up,
warm up
to where you were. Oh yeah, I mean, I would like to think I'm the type of parent that will stay on top. Like, hey, why don't you practice your French a little bit? While we're here on the. No, I did none of that.
No,
I don't think she's read a single word out of a book.
Totally agree.
Since she got out of school. So anyway, hope she enjoys her last day.
Yeah.
Before she goes back. Oh, for 2 days and then a short day. What a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
a break.
A week. All right, Ben, where do you want to start today? That real thriller last night in Portland?
I don't know. I do think, I guess if you want to start there, I do think we have a sense of the direction the Jazz season is heading. And it is this direction I think everybody assumed, other than there's been players performing better than expected, and that includes both Lowry and Keontae George. But, suddenly you look up, and I think the Jazz are tied for the 5th worst record in the NBA again. It's just like they are exactly where they wanted to be. And to start the new year, they have an opportunity to control their outcome the rest of the way and hold on to their draft pick, et cetera, et cetera. Though I do truly believe that ends this summer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we were told last summer, but yeah, good times.
Yeah.
I don't know. That trade to get off Derek Favors may have been the worst trade in NBA history. I know you want to bag on the Wizards for trading Denny Avdia,
who you and I both really
which was a obviously terrible trade because he's really good. But I don't know if that trade is holding the Wizards hostage for half a decade.
No, it is interesting. And one of the ways, and this actually was spoken about over the last couple of weeks, apparently in NBA circles with Adam Silver, is that one of the ways they want to fix tanking in the NBA, which is always dangerous when Adam Silver wants to fix things, he tends to screw them up worse.
Cats in the wall.
Is they do want to get rid of pick protections on trades. So basically, maybe you can do top 4 protected, which is how many slots are decided in the lottery now, the top 4 picks, or lottery protected. But you can't do like top 8 protected, because that's why the Jazz are in this mess right now. It was top 10 protected, then it jumped up to top 8 protected. and they've just had to fall under that limit over and over and over, and it's almost forced their hand into tanking, other than they could have just bit the bullet, given up Cody Williams or whatever pick it was and been out of it by now. Had they chosen to do that, and they did not.
So as far as, if we want to really read into one game, which I hate doing, but, whatever. We do a daily sports show.
Sure.
Have you ever worked in an environment with really bad morale?
Yes.
Yeah, I have too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to give it 110%. It just is. It's just a natural thing. I worked in radio through the Great Recession, and let me tell you, it was rough. And morale would get really low. And it was hard to do hard things that were necessary to do for the job. I'm not trying to confess any sins here. I think that's pretty.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common when morale at a workplace or whatever, a team, whatever you want to talk about, is low. And when the Jazz beat Detroit and San Antonio back-to-back, the team had a ton of juice.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Anderson's tweeting out, "Screw it, go for the plan!"
Yeah.
Which isn't what you tweeted out exactly, but you were floating the idea of not pulling the plug.
If you can win, does it hurt to win?
And so at that point, it felt to me like the franchise was like, well, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So no, we gotta pull the plug on this thing. Are you kidding?
Yep.
And they haven't won since. And you look at some of the lineups that are being played and who's playing together and what's going on. Then this is on top of who's resting or not playing or all the things. And it's obvious to everyone, I think, that this is the direction. You just said it. And that's got to be plain to the team. They're not dumb.
Regardless of whether or not it's being told to them, they recognize
They're
it.
not dumb.
Yeah. We've never played this lineup before.
So if you come out in a random road game against Portland, who really is trying and is going to play hard. They're young players who are going to play hard and are trying. Morale is low because nobody cares anymore. You're going to give up a zillion open shots, which is what I told Christian I zeroed in. I'm not going to sell out a player necessarily, but I zeroed in on one player in particular on defense for like half a quarter. And my Lanta.
Yeah.
The care factor, the try factor, the even like trying to know where they're supposed to be factor, like the very minimum, just did not exist.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, this same player would take no past possessions. It was like I was watching Hot Dog again. You just dribble around and throw up a crappy attempt at a stupid layup and draw a foul. All the juice, all the I want to try hard and do the hard things was all gone. And I kind of don't blame them because they pulled the plug on them. And that's got to be old. That's got to get old, right? If you're Keontae George, it's got to be old. Like, I did everything you said. I'm making this huge step. I'm playing my brains out. I'm trying to be a defensive guy. I beat the dang Spurs on the road on the second night of a back-to-back. I'm dropping 30 on the reg. I'm averaging more points than old Big Vic down there in San Antonio is they're in the same draft class, right? And you're pulling the plug. You're playing a bunch of lineups that you don't want to win. What do you want? What do you want from me? I can empathize with that. I really can. It doesn't excuse it, I suppose, but I can empathize with it. And we can get into this. Andy Larson asked some questions about defense and personnel in the postgame. And I thought the questions were relevant. I don't necessarily, and we can dissect it, like his premise for asking about the personnel. He said, well, Oklahoma City drafts all these two-way guys and big, long guys, and that's their priority. And so do you have the right personnel is essentially what he's saying. He was essentially saying, like, did you draft a bunch of flawed one-way guys, which I don't think is true and is not the defense's problem, honestly.
Okay.
Taylor Hendricks is a big, long two-way guy. Cody Williams is a big, long two-way guy. Ace Bailey is a big, long two-way guy. Hope, knock on wood. It appears like
he is so far,
he's headed down that road. So who are you talking about? You're talking about Keontae George, who's undersized, and I think at least with last night's game being the exception, is trying to set a tone more than Donovan Mitchell ever did.
Absolutely.
So I know, and he kind of set Will up to throw his players under the bus, which he did not. He said, "I'm not gonna basically let my team off the hook and say they can't defend," which I thought was the right answer for a coach to give. But to ask that question after the Portland game where they just didn't try, there was no effort whatsoever, and the reason that they're 30th in defense is because Yusuf Nurkic is their starting center. And because their backup center is Kevin Love, and they never seem to be in the lineup on the same night. So that leaves Phil to go out there and pretend like he can be a big in the NBA on the defensive side, which he cannot. And Nurk can't either. At least Nurk will scrap you some offensive rebounds, but he's just a stiff out there. So is Phil. And it's a layup line. And so, if Cody Williams gets beat, it's a layup.
It is. And Will even talked about that
yesterday.
He does say, yes, you need to assume your teammates can play some defense, but also you have to understand that if they get beat, you have to help. Yes. And the guys aren't doing that.
Yes.
So it's a bunch of guys on an island getting beat over.
So don't let them off the hook with it's a personnel. Like, why bother? Like, no, not why bother. I mean, it's the thing with Bryce Sensabaugh. That guy's got all the physical tools to be a fine defensive player.
Yeah. He's not. Yeah, he's not a very good defensive player at all.
So you can draft. Give me a two-way guy. Oklahoma City drafted just right off.
Jalen Williams. Yeah.
Jalen Williams. Well, if he wasn't interested in the slightest at playing defense, I don't care how big and long you are. It doesn't matter. So I like the question because the defense is last in the league again. But I didn't like the premise of the question. I don't think it's a scheme problem. I think, Will, pretty much that answer you just said right there, pretty much like they had no interest in being in the right position to help or any of that. To close out to the corner, they're not even, it's just standing in the lane and going like this. It was like watching a tennis match. Here's the ball on one side of the floor, there's the ball on the other. Guess how much I've moved? 1.5 feet, and I watched the ball go around. It's just, they didn't show up in Portland. They didn't play. They didn't play on either side of the ball.
It was one of their worst no-shows of the season, and certainly their worst no-show since Walker Kessler was ruled out for the year. I don't want to say hurt. Remember, they went to Charlotte and no-showed in that game. They went to Phoenix and no-showed in that game. But Walker wasn't out for the year at that point. He was, but it hadn't been announced that was the case. So this was a real no-show last night. It's a real interesting question for me. I'll just reveal. My brother texted me last night during the game, and he's in New York, but he still follows the team. And he said, do you think the Jazz will keep Will Hardy around when they're ready to start winning? And I said, well, they keep giving him contract extensions, so my assumption would be yes. And I said, I don't know if he's a good defensive coach. I don't know. We haven't ever seen him coach a good defensive team. He coaches great offensive teams. Jazz are a great offensive team right now. He mentioned it last night. He said, we didn't play particularly well, and we still scored 117 points. Like, he knows how to put together offenses that are competitive night in and night out, and we've not seen it on the defensive end. And then my question is, well, can you be a good defensive coach when Yusuf Nurkic is your starting center? The answer is probably no. Can you be a good defensive coach when Kevin Love's on the floor right now as the 36-year-old or 37 or whatever he is? Probably no. Do they have a bunch of good defensive players on the team? No. So is that a Will Hardy problem, or is that a personnel problem, or is that a scheme problem, or is that the bigger issue is, I think what you're getting to is, if you know the team is not trying to win, defense is the last thing you're going to try and do because defense stinks.
Bingo.
Playing defense is not fun at all.
Okay, let me, as far as a defensive scheme, and I'm going to underplay defensive schemes. I'm not saying they don't exist or don't matter, but they kind of don't. Was Phil Jackson a great defensive coach?
Probably not.
I have no idea, honestly.
Right. Who
but
knows?
You know what? Why those were good defensive teams? Because Michael Jordan guarded.
And so did Scottie Pippen.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And if those two guard,
if your best players guard,
you have to guard.
Yeah.
Is what's his bozo in Boston a great defensive coach? Mazzulla. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But you know what? Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown guard. So
Right. So Derek White's going to guard, and Kristaps Porzingis, when he was there, was going to guard.
Is Dagnall a good defensive coach? I have no idea, honestly. But Shea's going to guard, so that means you're going to guard.
Yeah.
And Jalen Williams is going to guard, so that means you're going to guard. You know, it was the same with John and Carl. Is Greg Popovich a great defensive coach? I have no idea. But you know what? Tim Duncan was going to guard.
Duncan.
David Robinson. They were going to guard, and they were going to play hard, and they were going to do the hard things. So that meant you have to. The Lakers will never be a good defensive team with Luka Doncic. Never.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's not just that he's a rusty gate. It's that he sets the tone for the rest of the team. Period.
Yeah.
And that's so if Ace Bailey becomes a star and he's going to go out there and he's going to guard his brains out, well, guess what? Keontae George has to guard. Mm-hmm. In Keontae's case, I think a lot of the reason for the juice at the beginning was because he was out there playing hard. Uh-huh. And maybe he wasn't the greatest defensive player, but he was putting in the energy. Now you don't have to. Where's the drop? So that's what you should cheer for, that Ace Bailey or whoever decides to become the number one player listens to Will Hardy and plays hard and guards and all that, because that means the rest of the team has to do it.
Yeah.
And it helps that Michael Jordan was good at defense. And it helps that Scottie Pippen was long and really good at defense. Mm-hmm. It helps that Shea's effective. All that stuff, it all helps. But if they do it, you have to.
Yeah.
Trae Young, the Atlanta couldn't get off him quick enough because the whole team doesn't have to guard if he plays. And you can see it. Locke was talking about the stats. I don't know why. It was because Kevin Pelton was on last night. And so they were talking to Kevin about the possible Trae Young trade. And they were talking about how you could go into the stats and pick out, without knowing which games Trae played, you can pick them out. Because the defense, when he plays, is amongst the worst in the league. Uh-huh. And the defense, when he does not play, when your best player, in theory, is...
Trae Young?
No. Who's there?
Oh, Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson.
Uh-huh.
They're like top half of the league because the rest of the team has to guard instead of standing there and watching Trae Young get beat and then watching him dribble on offense.
I do think some of it is nice that it is that simple. Now, there are questions.
And again,
for the Jazz.
I am purposely oversimplifying.
Of course,
I'm not saying that none of that stuff matters, but it helps most.
And look, the Jazz have, I do think, to Andy's credit in this question, have prioritized offensive players in the draft outside of the lottery. I don't think that has been the case in the lottery. Taylor Hendricks is not a great offensive player. He's okay. He's also not yet a great defensive player, but the physical tools lend itself to defense. Same with Cody Williams, and same with Ace Bailey. Though Ace Bailey has more offensive juice than either of them. Outside of it, outside of the lottery, you're just trying to find players that stick and
that can do something.
Keontae's going to do something.
They're all flawed.
Bryce might be too flawed to do something long term. I don't know. Maybe he can figure it out, and stick around.
Phil can do something, just not what they're asking him to do.
Yeah, absolutely right. So they have focused on a bunch of really good offensive players, hoping that would allow them to stick, and maybe they turn into tools that work or tools that you trade for defensive players. And that is the other advantage here, is that if you want to this summer start to spend money because you have money in free agency, just go sign guys who play defense. And your defense will improve. Sometimes we think defense is this mystery skill. It's really not. So yeah, do guys play hard? Do guys try hard on that end? And if so, you're going to have good defensive results the same way if you sign good offensive players, you have a good offense. So I do think that will be the pathway forward for the Jazz. But the question is, if Lauri Markkanen's your best player, does he play enough defense to set the tone? And I don't know.
Lauri's not going to be the best player. If the Jazz return to contending anytime soon, he will not be the best player. I'm not saying he's not a terrific basketball player, but I mean, he's just, I don't think, a number one on a contender for a variety of reasons. I don't think the Jazz want him to be, though.
No, I don't think he's capable of
it. Part of the defensive tone is part of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and there's other things. He's not a playmaker. There's lots of things there. He's a great player, but,
But I don't think it's fair to Will. I mean, over the long run, knock yourself out. But after the Portland game, to be like, why does your defense suck? Well, they suck tonight because they didn't get off the bus. Mm-hmm. And then Yusuf Nurkic is playing center, and Phil is backing him up. So let's start there. Hey, why the layup line? I wonder.
Yeah.
Why? Oh.
That's why.
I love that line for Major League when Serrano's taking batting practice. And they're like, wow, this guy hits a ton. How come nobody else picked up on him? He goes, hey, Eddie, throw him some breaking balls. And then he misses by 3 feet. And Lou Brown just goes, oh.
That's why. Yeah.
Oh. Phil should be playing 17 minutes a night, period.
Yeah, probably right. He's not a 30-minute-a-night player.
Going up against the other team's big and trying to defend the rim. That's not who he is. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the Top 3 Stories of the Day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, our guy Steve Bartle doing a great job keeping us up to date on Utah filling out their offensive staff. It looks like Morgan Scalley added a couple new guys.
And including has added some new players. Utes are landing some players through the transfer portal as well. But Utah's going to be hiring Luke Wells as the school's new tight ends coach, according to Pete Thamel. He's also worked at Utah State and previously Texas Tech, Iowa State, Tulsa. But familiar with McGiven, obviously. So that should be probably at this point McGiven's hire. If he's the offensive coordinator and he's going to run the show, you need to let him bring in some of his own guys. He's not getting his own offensive line coach. Jordan Gross is coming in to do that. Probably didn't hire his own wide receivers coach. That's Chad Bumpus. That's a guy who Morgan knows previously. So we'll see. This is a bit of a Frankenstein staff, but that has to happen when the coach quits or leaves the way he does and takes as many pieces with him.
Well, that's college football. The way Kyle Whittingham ran it forever, where you have the same guys for like a decade, that doesn't happen. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody else has Frankenstein staffs. Kyle was just not like all that active in that world. He wanted his guys to do it the way that he wanted, and that's it. Period. Event. End of story. I mean, he would even demote. Like Harding was co-offensive coordinator at one point. Mm-hmm. He didn't fire Harding.
Yeah.
He just demoted.
And then got an associate head coaching position or whatever it was. Yeah, he did. He moved the titles around.
And even some of his hires were for that purpose, right? Like Sharif Shah, Utah guy, not going anyway. He was an attorney. He wasn't even in the coaching world. And then all these other Utah guys and Cougar guys for that matter that he shuffled in and out that were just loyal to him would stay forever. But the reality of college football is I would be curious to see the average stay time of an assistant coach in college football. I bet it's under 2 years.
Yeah, because if you're bad, you get fired, and if you're good, you get promoted.
You go somewhere else.
Yeah, you leave.
Yeah, and it happens because everybody's shuffling staffs all the time. That's the world. But Witt was able to kind of keep a bubble over it. And Bronco is doing the same thing, by the way, and has done the same thing wherever he's gone. He's only hired, quote unquote, his guys, right? I mean, Skylar Ridley, who they just hired yesterday from Weber State to be the receivers coach, was a receiver under Bronco at BYU. So, I mean, that is not the norm per se. I think most coaches are out there filling half their staff every year, especially now. So, yeah, I guess Frankenstein staff, but that's more the norm.
And it's not derogatory. Frankenstein staff is not a derogatory statement.
No. So, I mean, this was inevitable. I think from what I saw in the Snap Talk, the recruiting news for the most part was pretty good for Utah retaining guys they needed to retain. So,
according to Bartle yesterday, Celesi Moa is on campus at Utah. He was obviously their big recruit along with Kelvin Olbott, the tackle. So getting both of those guys on campus, or seemingly going to have both those guys on campus, is a good sign that Utah did not lose their 5-star kids to Michigan. And then Utah's added a couple of kids in the transfer portal. Marcus Wimberly, who's a safety coming over from Oklahoma, and then a D tackle from Wyoming today, Lucas Samsula, who Utah played against earlier this year. So sky is not falling.
And they're introducing Morgan officially today.
All right.
That's what I was saying. Yes, it is today.
I forgot.
All right, what's next?
Number 2, speaking of the transfer portal, this could have a domino effect here in Salt Lake City. Bryce Underwood returning to Michigan.
Yeah, it's funny. This could absolutely have a domino effect. It could have no effect at all on the outcome of Devin Dampier or Bird Ficklin, because it's not like Michigan would be the only destination for quarterbacks in demand. And Devin Dampier, after what we saw in the Vegas Bowl and most of the year, should be a quarterback in demand. I mean, he's a lot better than a lot of college quarterbacks. Is he the best quarterback? He's not. Is he a lot better than a lot of players out there? He is, and I think a lot of teams would be interested in adding him.
I don't get the impression either of those guys are going anywhere. Certainly not to Michigan. Is this a good decision? If you were giving Bryce Underwood advice, would you tell him to stay?
I would. I do think that what Jason Beck does should match the physical tools of Bryce Underwood, and I'm not convinced that Jason Beck didn't want to throw the ball, so much so that Devin Dampier does not throw the ball particularly well. He's not terrible at it, and he was able to move the ball down the field some against Nebraska, but we saw him, when he needs to make a handful of throws this season, not be able to do it. And if Bryce Underwood can make a couple of those throws, I bet the offense looks better.
I would have him look into Witt's track record with quarterbacks.
I think that's fair.
I mean, he just doesn't put quarterback. I mean, if he wants to play in the NFL, it's probably not a good decision because Witt just doesn't put quarterbacks into the NFL.
Witt's also never had a player of this caliber. But to the point of he's had 21 years of quarterbacks and none of them have ever gotten drafted?
0.
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley has made it as an undrafted free agent, which, by the way, his backup quarterback commercial is incredible.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so funny.
I need to watch it.
Who is it? State Farm or somebody like that? I don't know. I should know. It doesn't matter. They're not paying us anymore.
Like that?
But they have this, wouldn't it be nice to have a backup quarterback in life, like a backup in life,
okay.
to come into difficult situations and fill in. And it's a parent having the birds and bees talk with the kid, and they call in Tyler Huntley,
Oh, that's
and
great.
it's so funny.
That's funny.
It's so funny. And the kid, I can't remember the line at the end, but he comes away saying like, wow, I really understand life now, or something like that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's super good in it. But the point is, I mean, Travis Wilson, Cam Rising, Brian Johnson even.
This is a long list.
You go, everybody loves to compare Utah to BYU, but BYU's had, Max Hall, John Beck, Zach Wilson, Jaron Hall, Taysom Hill, although I don't really count Taysom. But
he didn't get drafted, right?
No.
But, yeah.
So, and BYU and Utah have been similar programs at very least, for that run, and they've had way more quarterbacks go on to the next level. So, I don't know, good for Michigan, I guess, but, hope you like running the option.
They also had a corner, I think, recommit today that had entered the transfer portal. Witt's done a pretty good job of retaining talent on his roster.
All right, what's next?
That's good news for Utah and BYU.
Number 3, Sean Durzin wins it for the Mammoth in overtime last night.
Schmaltz, pass across. Durzin trying to pass it back. It comes to Kraus. Kraus, Schmaltz, back door, and they score! Sean Durzin wins it in overtime here at Madison Square Garden.
Pretty resilient performance from the boys, from the Mammoth. They were down 1-0, kind of looked like they were getting beat up a little bit, spent a lot of time on the penalty kill, and still found a way to break through. Dylan Gunther had a big goal in regulation. Carconi had a big goal in regulation. And then, nice to see Durzin. I'm not sure Durzin has had a crown jewel moment yet as a member of the Utah Mammoth, though he's quite well liked apparently. But this was certainly his best moment, I think, so far. Game winner in overtime in Madison Square Garden.
I got to tell you, last night was a super fun night to be in the Radio Command Center because we watched the Mammoth game and the end was thrilling. And I actually think the Durzin goal that's burying the lead, they killed a penalty with like a minute to go.
That Durzin committed.
Yeah, right.
So
and
he was
not
the
happy
comeback
about it.
winner. Yeah.
But I mean, gritted out that penalty
Absolutely.
and took it to overtime. I mean, it was fairly thrilling. And then we had the FCS championship game on the other screen. I don't know if you watched that, but it was bananas.
Yeah, I was following the Mammoth game, so I did not tune over to it, but I saw all the tweets.
And Montana State is the victor, but it took It took both teams taking turns blowing it for that to happen. Eventually in overtime, the poor holder, the poor Illinois State holder who just botched the game.
Was it his fault? Was it the holder's fault?
Yeah, it's the holder's fault.
I was trying to see if it was the kicker's fault. It was the holder.
I mean, you might be able to make an argument it was the long snapper's fault too. I mean, I'm
but
guessing
they failed
the snaps
on an extra point.
They failed on a field goal to win it in regulation, like a chip shot field goal. The holder drops it, throws off the kicker's timing, and then it gets easily blocked.
Yeah.
And then the same thing basically happened on the extra point, and it was a bonkers game. But that was Montana State had a chance to win it in regulation after the blocked field goal, and they snapped it right past the quarterback. I mean, it brought up like a 4th and 25 or something crazy. I mean, just blowing it. It was wild. But the Mammoth, the finish of the Mammoth game was really, really good. So we had a good night in the old radio command center watching sports, and we watched Michigan State throttle USC. And who doesn't like watching Eric Musselman lose?
Oh, basketball.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're not talking about USC laughably losing to TCU in the Alamo Bowl.
Yeah. Right.
Against a backup quarterback that had 6 snaps going into that game. Way to go, Stinkin'. What a program you're running. But Eric Musselman's equally dislikable.
Bizarre. Mammoth, undefeated in New York in their franchise history, have never lost in the state of New York. Very, very strange.
7 games at home now.
Yeah, 14 straight days in Salt Lake City.
Guess Disney on Ice isn't in town.
Got 4 points on the road, so a nice little boost for them. Congratulations.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us? Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Let's give away some tickets. Hit it, Christian.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the 3. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. And you're going to win a pair of tickets to go see the Jazz take on Ben's favorite, LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets, coming up on Saturday, January 10th at Delta Center at 7:30.
Did you see what they did to the Thunder last night?
I did.
They won by 30 on the road at OKC, which is interesting for a few reasons. A, the Thunder are now 6-6 over their last 12 after starting the year 24-1, which I still think they should be the favorite to win the championship. Because they've done it before. We know this roster is good enough. They are hitting that malaise that happens the year after you win a title. That 24-1 is a really difficult pace to keep up, obviously. And they're not going to get close to matching the 73-9 total now that we saw from the Golden State Warriors. And if everyone remembers, Golden State Warriors did not win the title the year they went 73-9. LeBron did. So I should say the Cavaliers, but it felt like LeBron did. But I do think after losing by 30 at home, that should be the cold glass of water to the face that should wake the Thunder up. And then they come in with all due respect to the team we cover. The Utah Jazz should be the slump buster that they absolutely hammer coming up on Wednesday. 4th game of a winless 4-game road trip for the Jazz at home against a team they are particularly poorly designed to go up against. This could get ugly.
You know what was funny? Like we have these big TVs in our studio, and so I was talking about watching all these games. But by the post game show, everything's over, right? Especially since the Jazz played late, so we had SportsCenter up, and I'm watching the highlights of the game, and they showed all LaMelo Ball highlights, and they were the most ridiculous shots you've ever seen taken in your entire life. And somehow they went in. Like falling out of bounds on one leg.
He hit a one-footed falling out of bounds, didn't jump. In the corner, his foot was on the line, but yes, the ball was going out of bounds. He grabs it, shoots it off of 1 foot while standing still, and it went in.
So I raced to the box score. I was like, my Lanta. It's like, what did LaMelo Ball do?
To be fair, I have not done this, so I'm curious to hear what happens.
I was like, oh, okay, let's see what LaMelo did. I mean, if every highlight that SportsCenter showed was LaMelo taking a stupid shot and it's somehow going in, what happened?
Must have had a great night.
I opened up the box score. LaMelo actually doing less was the reason they won. Brandon Miller was awesome and had 28 points, and Con Knippel, who's off to a really
He's insane. He's so good.
Good start. I mean, was incredible. I mean, the reason they beat Oklahoma City was because LaMelo only took 10 shots.
Oh, wow.
I think he was 5 for 10 and 4 for 7 from 3. I think SportsCenter showed all 5 of his makes.
Every highlight, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Charlotte has players. Like, I mean, Miles Bridges is unlikable, but he's good.
Good player, yeah.
Brandon Miller is good.
Yeah.
Con Knippel apparently
He's going to be an all-star, yeah.
is really good. LaMelo Ball is like the 5th best player on that team right now. Anyway, real quick, because stat guys cannot get off this guy. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. Well, again, we had Kevin Pelton. He was on the entire broadcast with David. He and David are buddies because they're both stat guys. He's ESPN's.
I think he was an intern for Locke.
Stat guru. Is that true? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But they're into stats. And Locke went through a list of players and asked if Kevin Pelton was like off or on, and he's, are you still on LaMelo Ball? And Pelton's like, yeah, I still am.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't get. I mean, if Charlotte figured out that they shouldn't just turn their team over to that player in particular, they would be so much better. If you want to talk about the race for the bottom, Charlotte has a good enough roster. They should not be involved in the race for the bottom. They should be pushing for a play-in. They should.
I think they're going to take a bath on a LaMelo trade, and they should. They should move off of him.
Yep.
Because you have Con, because you have Brandon Miller, because you have a couple of other pieces around them, and you should retool around those guys. It's the same way. I think the Hawks are going to take a bath on Trae Young. I mean, one of the teams, funny, we're talking about the Wizards because they traded Danny Avdija earlier today. Otherwise, we're never going to talk about the Wizards again. But, like, they're one of the teams that are a potential destination for Trae Young, which, A, tells you of, like, desperation, sucking up desperation. And, B, I think the Wizards would want draft capital back. Like, I think the Wizards want something to take Trae Young, which becomes interesting of where the NBA is going. Can you win with these guards who don't play defense and put up huge numbers? No. And then can Keontae George exit that archetype? Can Keontae George be more than that, which is really crucial offensively and doesn't impact the game defensively well enough to help a winning team? And maybe I'm biased. I think he can, because I do think we have seen the effort.
Is he a ball-dominant guard?
He is not.
He is not.
No, he does not play like either Trae or LaMelo Ball. He does not.
No, he doesn't. And I don't think, as long as Will Hardy's the coach, I don't think he's going to allow that.
I think you're totally right. There is a laziness to the teams that have had Trae Young and LaMelo Ball just say, fine, go do everything.
Yep.
And to be fair, Will Hardy has not allowed Keontae to do that. And I think the reason why you are paying dividends, or he's paying dividends now, is because he was not allowed to be that player. I think that's accurate on your part.
He's not. I mean, you go look at his usage, and it's definitely up this year. But, I mean, what was LaMelo Ball's usage last year?
Yeah, it was like
in the high 30s?
Yeah, it was like the highest since Kobe's 35-point
Wasn't
per
it
game
like
season.
41 at
Yeah, it was
one
like
point,
40.
at some point?
It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, the Jazz have not given their team to Keontae George. The way the Rockets gave their team to James Harden. And at one point, Charlotte, maybe they're moving off it, gave their team to LaMelo Ball, or Atlanta gave their team to Trae Young, or the Knicks gave their team to Jalen Brunson. I don't think that is Keontae George. In fact, I think Keontae's at his best when either old Walt Clayton or Isaiah Collier is on the floor with him and he moves off the ball. I'd be curious to see maybe a statistical breakdown of that. But my eyeball says he plays his best basketball
with another playmaker
when he's actually off the ball.
I think the Jazz could use a two guard next to him. I think Keontae should be point guard, but I could be wrong on that. That does a lot of point guard things also, whether that's a Nickeil Alexander-Walker or a Derek White or somebody like that. But no, I think you're right. I think there is a real risk in giving everything up to one player.
Like that?
A ball-dominant guard, certainly.
Yeah, a ball-dominant guard specifically, especially guys who don't have any interest in playing on the defensive side.
I mean, this sounds crazy, but Luka makes LeBron worse.
It was funny. We were watching a Lakers game the other night, and my wife's a big basketball fan, and she was like, man, those two have zero chemistry. So, yeah, they are playing next to each other. They are not playing together, but they are on the court at the same time.
Right.
No doubt about it. But there's no spark. There's no dynamic to those guys being on the floor together.
Because here's the hard part. You look at those players and you go, oh, if they could only put someone next to them. But the problem is they don't allow someone next to them.
Yeah, there's no right player.
There's no right player. Remember when Kristaps Porzingis got traded to Dallas and everybody's like, oh, this is the perfect player to put alongside Luka Doncic. Unless it's a big stiff setting picks, there is no perfect player to put next to Luka Doncic.
And that's maybe the magic of Steph Curry that we haven't appreciated enough is that he's had two guys next to him that have been perfect matches, and is that, well, they just happen to pick perfect guys, or Steph is that easy to play with, that all of a sudden Klay Thompson is a lock Hall of Famer and is the perfect, guard next to or wing next to Steph, and Draymond's the perfect big. Well, Draymond is far from a perfect NBA player, really far from a perfect NBA player, but you thought, wow, those two have chemistry like I've never seen before. But the same thing, he and Klay have chemistry like we've never seen before. Well, that's because Steph truly is a brilliant player and knows how to play with guys to make them better.
He is not a ball-dominant guard. In fact, picture your quintessential Steph offensive play. And maybe you picture a step back, or maybe you picture something from the logo.
Does he have the ball in his hands?
I'll tell you what I picture. I picture him running off 3 pin-down picks.
Yeah, exactly right.
To get a wide-open 3 at the break.
Yep, exactly right.
That's his quintessential. It's not dribbling the air out of the ball and then taking a step back. It's getting off it, running off a bunch of picks, and taking an open shot when he just gets a little bit of daylight.
Yeah, you're not thinking 4 dribbles.
Nope.
No, you're thinking maybe 1 dribble on a step back, like you're saying. But yeah, it's dancing around picks, finding a way to get open, maybe even catching the ball, giving it back, and then getting the ball back a second time before he scores.
I find LeBron obnoxious, but LeBron is not a ball-dominant guard. He never has been.
No.
He's played a lot of ISO, and that can get a little murky because if the coach clears everyone out and says, LeBron, go run over your guy,
but he's
that's
not
quite
sucking the air out of the ball.
But he's not. No, again, I'm not a LeBron lover by any means, but that's not who he is.
Yeah.
That's how James Harden and Russell Westbrook really ruined the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, Shea doesn't play that way.
Shea doesn't play that way. No, he does not.
He's a great point guard. He has the ball more than anyone else on the team, but he is certainly not, let me dribble the air out of the ball.
Nope.
So, no, you've got a great point.
So I wouldn't touch Trae Young. I wouldn't touch LaMelo Ball. I wouldn't touch John Morant. I wouldn't. No, none of that.
I think the Jazz dodged a bullet. I don't know if they would have, but I could have seen some desperation last year where the Jazz might have considered a Trae Young trade. And with the emergence of Keontae George, I suspect that's fully off the table.
Because stat guys can talk themselves into it way too easily. That's the annoying part about analytics, is you can talk yourself into it because you're like, well, look at the numbers. I mean, Will Hardy said it last night at the postgame talking about something else. He said the
offense gets you paid.
Yeah, stats get you paid, but you got to go out there and play guard if you want to win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those guys are going to cost you a fortune, and you're not going to win a dang thing.
Yep. And they haven't.
I don't even know if anybody's played that way. Certainly has won a title. I guess Luka came close. James Harden made it to a conference final?
Made it to a conference finals. Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, Dame Lillard made it to a conference final, but he didn't go any further.
Trae Young made it to a conference final. So there are examples of you make a run. Same with Dame. I mean, Dame, they had a weird lightning in a bottle season. They ran into a couple of the right opponents. No, generally it doesn't work.
I don't think Keontae is that, though. That's an interesting question you bring up. I mean, he could, I guess, become that if he
I'll have to try.
Found a coach that was willing to let him do it, but I don't think it's the Jazz.
I don't think anyone will say it on the record, so I'll be curious. I'll do some research. I'll talk to some people and say, how do you avoid him becoming that? Yeah. I'll ask around.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Of course, that is a Win Ticket Wednesday. Your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. Listen all day long for your chance to win. kind of funny to me that, and I haven't read totally into this, but apparently Tom Brady is shading Drake May for MVP. Isn't it funny how all those former Patriots guys are all bitter
Cam Newton's doing it too.
and all hate each other? What's Cam Newton saying?
Oh, he just doesn't think Drake May's a very good player,
He's
right?
been on him all year.
Yeah. It's like Shaq and Rudy Gobert. Didn't you do it? You won an MVP, Cam Newton. You were afraid to jump on the football in the Super Bowl. We get it. We know what you're about.
God, that one play ended that dude's career pretty much.
Yes, it did. But he was, I won't say he was great before that. He had some moments before that. But, yeah, it certainly colored the rest of his career.
Well, it's funny, right? It's if you're not going to dive on a ball in the Super Bowl with the game on the line.
Right.
What really is important to you?
Then again, you know what? I'm sure there was some I didn't even look this up on Twitter. I'm sure there were some responses. Bryce Young did the same thing in a game they had to win against Tampa Bay. He fumbled and just stood there and watched the ball and all these Tampa Bay players. And I get it. These are defensive linemen jumping on the ball, and Bryce Young is particularly little. But in a game that they ended up not needing because was the Falcons won the next day over the Saints, and they got into the playoffs as the top seed, the higher seed anyways. But he didn't jump after the ball. I thought, that's got to bring some real flashbacks.
There were replies.
I'm sure there were, yeah.
So I don't get it. Drake May had a good year. I don't know if he'd be my MVP, I guess, but I don't know why people – but anyway, Tom Brady throwing shade on another Patriots, it actually ties in kind of with the Witt situation and going to Michigan, and it's like you expect these people that are put on a pedestal to have these – above it all kind of mentalities, and you just forget that people are human and flawed and petty. You know, the fact that Bill Belichick, the head coach at North Carolina, will not let the university use Drake May in their promotional material because he happens to be the quarterback of the team he used to coach for. Mm-hmm. Think of how bananas and stupid that is. How many decent NFL players have even gone to North Carolina ever?
Yeah, 4, 5, not
it's
a lot.
Like Drake May and Julius Peppers.
Yeah, and he was a basketball player.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the current hot quarterback in the NFL play. It'd be like Kyle Whittingham forbidding Utah's social team or whatever from using Eric Weddle.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, but you don't put any Weddle highlights out there. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, it would have been Witt being mad about Alex Smith existing because he wasn't the head coach when Alex Smith was at Utah. What?
Like Drake May, Tom Brady has to take the shine off Drake May because how dare another Patriots quarterback be any good? You know what I mean? It's just, it's hilarious and it's very human, but we, for some reason, expect, I don't know, people to be above it. Well, I don't blame Utah fans for being mad at Kyle Whittingham because he's not above it, but I also get why he's not above it.
I do think the lesson here is that you should not confuse your fandom with the motivation of the people you root for.
Yep.
Your fandom for the Patriots does not mean Tom Brady is a fan of the Patriots. Tom Brady is a fan of Tom Brady. Kyle Whittingham.
And some Instagram model, apparently.
Yeah, Kyle Whittingham is a fan of Kyle Whittingham. Kalani, who maybe has bucked this trend as much as anybody, was minutes away from becoming the Penn State head coach. Because Kalani understands in this business, because he has been he went to Wisconsin, right?
Kalani? No, he went to Oregon State.
He went to Oregon State. He didn't go to Wisconsin.
No.
He has had to look out for himself. He has had his job on the line. He's had his job on the line at BYU. He has probably had days where he's walked into meetings thinking, I might get fired today. And that scars you in a way where you have to look out for yourself. You have to be an independent contractor. And you can love the place you work for and still recognize that I have to take care of number one first before I can worry about BYU or Utah or Michigan or the New England Patriots. And you're going to do that. And with that does become this defensive mindset of, well, if they start to hurt my legacy, what does that mean? So where we got into a little bit of an argument yesterday about whether or not Witt should be rooting for Morgan Scalley or might be rooting against him. Like, yes, the natural desire to defend your position and your property or whatever you think it is, Witt is going to have some human response to not want Utah to do well, which is crazy. But he is far from the first to do it. Tom Brady has 7 championship rings. 6 of them came with the Patriots. He's never going to be replaced as probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Certainly never going to be replaced as the greatest Patriot of all time. and he still can't let Drake May, who's accomplished nothing in his life, have any sunshine, have any daylight at all. He wants to crush him because it may take a sliver of appreciation away from Tom. It's insanity.
Is it any coincidence that during the Carlos Boozer era, Karl Malone all but disappeared, and the only time he did pop his head up was to criticize? And then after, the guy who replaced the guy moved on or whatever, Carl's relationship, it could be coincidental, might not be causal. But I would guess that Karl Malone wasn't rooting that hard for Carlos Boozer.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
Of course not.
No way. And he would come up and every once in a while and be like, hey, when I played, we played defense. This guy doesn't play defense.
Yeah, exactly right.
Or
I played 82 games.
Yeah, right. Or the franchise isn't welcoming me back properly or whatever it was. It was never, because there's no way he was cheering for Carlos Boozer.
Yep.
John Stockton went away. I wonder how he felt about Darren Williams, honestly. But it is only natural. But fans look at it and go, well, you should be appreciative of the team or the opportunity or whatever. But it isn't necessary. It doesn't necessarily work that way.
And it's not an affront to the fans. The fans can be victimized by it, certainly. But it is not done as a desire to anger the fans. Truthfully, it's probably far more personal than that. And I mean personal, truthfully within themselves, like these coaches or these players who leave do it more for themselves than anybody. But it is about the owner who they thought turned their back on them or the coach who they thought didn't believe in them. And that's where the desire comes from. Generally, I don't think it has anything to do with like the fans not supporting them in the right way. Though I do understand why the fans feel hurt by it.
No. It's Dr. Drake Ramore. It's the coach in college is the star of the show, and you pretend you know the coach.
Yeah.
And you project all this stuff onto the coach.
This is a Friends reference, yeah.
It is. Yeah. If you haven't seen, it's an old show. Christian Friends was a show that started back in the early 90s? Early 90s. Had a good, 12-year run probably?
Wrapped in the early 2000s when I was
Launched
in high school.
Several people's career.
Did it?
Well, the ketamine guy.
It was a lot of people's entire career.
Yeah, Matthew Perry was in that Bruce Willis movie with Amanda Peet. What was that?
Okay, and Jennifer Aniston's done some lousy work since.
Oh, she's terrible.
Ross was in Band of Brothers.
Haven't seen Phoebe since.
No. Joey's tried to do a bunch of spin-offs.
It hadn't worked.
Dr. Drake Ramore.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, Joey was a soap opera actor, and he played Dr. Drake Ramore, and he ran into this crazy fan that thought he was the
character.
The character, and she was like watching his real life. The coach and the fans are the only ones that stick around. The players all come and go. And so as a result, the coach ends up the star of the TV show. Mm-hmm. He's the one they show on the sideline constantly and his reactions to this and whatever. And he's the one who's doing the press conferences. He's the one who's out in front of everything, and he's the one who stays. So he's the star of the TV show. And so fans get wrapped up into the coach's personality or whatever, even when they don't like the coach. I knew Jazz fans that would absolutely criticize Jerry Sloan up and down. Mm-hmm. Why is he calling the same play every time? 4 down. Yeah. But if somebody else had said, oh, Jerry's a bad coach, that fan would rip their face off, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And pros is a little different because players stick around longer. With college, it's so, you get to know the player for like 10 minutes, even less so now. But you see the coach all the time. So the coach ends up the star. So you project all these feelings onto the coach that aren't true. I don't think Kyle Whittingham cares that much about Utah, honestly.
I'm totally with you. I
don't think he does. But people go, oh, he worked there for 20 years. He must love it dearly. I don't think he does.
You love it more than he does.
Yep.
That's the truth.
He loves him. And
right.
He says, and again, I don't want to project anything onto Kyle Whittingham. I think you could say this about a lot of coaches, but they love them. They are the reason the program succeeded. They read their own headlines. And that's a perfectly natural thing, too.
Nothing Witt is doing is a Witt-specific issue. Now, he has his own wrinkle on it, as does everybody. They sprinkle their own flavor onto how this personifies itself or how this comes out. But no, Witt is not the only person to do this. But you were exactly right. Like, Witt cares more about Witt than he does the Utah program. And that's also what's made him successful.
Yeah. Well, different sport, but same example. Do you think Brett Favre cheered for Aaron Rodgers for 1 second? Or do you think Aaron Rodgers cheered or helped Jordan Love at all?
Never.
Yeah. Not once. But yet, in both circumstances, the narrative surrounding it was, well, draft a young player and Brett Favre will take him under his wing and show him how it's done, and bang, smooth transition. And then it wasn't that. And they ended up drafting Jordan Love. And the narrative again was, well, Aaron Rodgers could have put him under his wing and tell you what, bang, smooth transition. No. When you think, well, Aaron Rodgers owes it to the Packers. I mean, they've given him all these opportunities over the years and helped him become a Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers doesn't see it that way.
No, in fact, a lot of those guys would say, you know what the best thing they can do? You have to beat me for my job. You have to become so good that you're better than me, and me helping you get there is not. Me acquiescing to you is not good.
Tell you how to do it? No.
No, you learn how to be better than I am, and if you are, great, then you take the job, and that's the free market fairness. If you're better, then you can have it.
And I'm sure in Aaron Rodgers' case, he said, Brett Favre treated me like crap. Yeah. So guess what?
Right.
It's your turn.
Yeah. And it was better for me.
And it was better for me. Yeah. I ended up a better quarterback.
Whether it was or not, but yes, he can sell it that way. Hey, Joe Flacco got killed by Browns fans earlier this year by saying, like, I'm not here to teach anyone. I'm not a mentor. I'm 40 years old, yes, but I'm not here to teach Shedeur Sanders how to be a good quarterback, or who was the other kid that they drafted, Dylan Gabriel? I'm not here to teach him how to be a good quarterback. I'm here to be the starting quarterback for the Browns. Probably is the right approach.
I think it's part of the reason why us collectively as a community are so obsessed with players liking it here.
Yeah.
Because we project that onto players because we like it here, and we want to be confirmed of that every 10 minutes when it honestly doesn't matter. Donovan Mitchell pretended to like it here until he didn't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then the most random players who you would never predict like it here end up living here.
Yeah.
Darren Williams lives here.
Yeah, right. I could see Yusuf Nurkic buying a house here, to be honest with you.
I think Derek Favors still owns his spot here.
Obviously
Rudy Gobert still owns his spot here. Mm-hmm. I think Derek Favors is the ultimate story of somebody who you would never predict would love living in Salt Lake City, who ended up loving living in Salt Lake City. Yeah. But I could tell you all these popular players that everybody projected, oh, I bet they love it here, who hated it here.
Yeah, right. It doesn't need to be...
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all, but we feel the need to have it matter. And I find that one particularly obnoxious because these players are asked about it every 10 minutes. Shoot, I've asked players about it, you know? Well, how do you like it in Salt Lake City? Please like it because we want to like you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just, it's song and dance.
It is also the reason why, and I'm sure you get asked this question a lot, or if people don't understand, it's like, is it hard to not be a fan of the team you cover? It's like, not in the slightest.
It's actually quite easy.
It's really easy. And part of this is because once you see behind the scenes, you recognize everybody's out for themselves. And not in a bad way. It's not cruel. It's not wrong. Do you wish, I guess, and not me, but like if you're a fan, do you wish all the guys were like, we're playing for the name on the front of the jersey every time we walk out there? Yeah, somewhat, but it's just not the case. And once you see that, and you see it really quickly when you cover the business, it makes it easy to recognize that like the team it's not a charade. It's not a mirage, but it's just not what you think it is.
You and I share that opinion. Unfortunately, it's not everybody in the media. But what you're talking about is the fantasy is gone. The storybook aspect of it is gone, and you see that they're just people, flaws and all, and it becomes a job for you. But I'll never forget when that one dude, the corny bro, went into the Golden State locker room. This is a member of the media, and sent out a tweet or something that said, "I'm just so disappointed in how the Golden State Warriors celebrated their win over the Jazz with bad language, and I just expected more out of these guys." And it's like, you did?
You did? Why?
You did?
Yeah. You wanted to enjoy Salt Lake?
You had this fantasy about how Golden State acts in their locker room? First of all, sending that out to begin with is an absolute violation. Mm-hmm. But second of all,
what were you expecting?
They let you down?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
You? And then who was it that went to Twitter and called him corny? It was Kevin Durant.
I think it was Draymond.
Was it? I thought it was KD.
I don't know if KD was on the team yet. But regardless, neither here nor there. Yeah.
Somebody went to Twitter and called him corny. But yeah, it's like, what did you expect for someone in the Golden State's locker room to be like, well, the hard-fought, plucky Jazz gave us all we could handle tonight?
I remember I asked Kawhi Leonard one time what makes Gordon Hayward different than other players, and he looked at me and said, nothing.
No, not a dang thing.
Oh, Thanks, what?
This is a
time. It was like, oh yeah, Gordon Hayward mattered to Jazz fans. His ascension mattered, and I tried to write about that, and I was asking about that, as if anybody else in the NBA had ever thought of Gordon Hayward other than the 2 seconds that they just scored on him. You know, that they've never thought about anybody else's growth
They're like
pattern,
the guy who played at Butler?
his trajectory. Nobody cares.
No.
Yeah, nobody cared at all. And I remember, that was a good life lesson for me.
Well, another little aside, something I've noticed in the biz, players hate being asked about other players.
For the most part, yeah.
They hate it.
Yeah. Our guy, Eric Spiropoulos, who we both really like, who's the writer for the Jazz right now, asked LeBron about Keontae. And LeBron tried to fake it. He said, like, hey, what have you seen differently in Keontae this year? And he said, confidence. And he said, are you seeing anything else? He goes, man, you're asking the wrong guy. I just watch YouTube golf now.
He said, do you think he deserves to be an all-star? And he was like, yeah, you're asking the wrong guy.
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't watch basketball anymore. Which Eric is doing the exact right job working for the Jazz.
Fine.
That's exactly the right question of the exact right player.
And by the way, LeBron doesn't owe him a great answer. I'm actually fine with that answer.
No, there was nobody did anything wrong in that conversation.
But like I remember post games, you would get a short answer from Rudy every time a reporter goes, wow, that Donovan Mitchell was great tonight. What'd you think about Donovan? And you're like, it was pretty good.
It was good. Yeah.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
He hated it. Hated being asked about other players, even teammates, which is kind of funny. The teammate that he's vying for attention with. It reminds me of when Paul Millsap beat the Miami Heat with the heroic ending or whatever, and Kirilla Fasinko had his only good game as a member of the Jazz. And somebody asked him about, what do you think about that miracle ending with Millsap? He's like, why are you asking about me? This game was Kirilla Fasinko's game.
11 points and 8 rebounds. Yeah. No, it is funny. It is. And these guys do like each other, and for the most part, they kind of root for each other. You know, they do want to win, and at certain points of the year, they really do care about winning, and they celebrate together. But it's just a little less holistic.
Oh, they're all individual contractors in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in the end.
The same way you are at your job.
Well, let's look at another example.
Same way Christian would stab you in the back.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
No, I mean, that was the message. Remember when Will Hardy talked about hot dog and Colin Sexton at the same time and said, you're either going to buy into the concept or you're not going to play. Uh-huh. And Colin Sexton did. Hot dog said, no, dude, I got to put up a bunch of numbers if I'm going to get my next job because I'm not sticking around this tub. And didn't alter what he did in the slightest.
Yep.
Because he's an individual contractor. And viewed it that way. And actually, Colin Sexton probably did damage to his career, honestly, doing it.
By not just being a score first big-time guard. Yeah.
And not just packing stats on a bad team. Yeah. He did his career damage. 100%.
Yeah, probably he's not making as much money as he could have been.
I think Colin Sexton is a better player after playing for the Utah Jazz, but his rep around the league, far worse. He was a borderline all-star when he was on Cleveland, and now he can't get off the bench for the Hornets.
Yeah.
If he would have just stat packed the whole time,
he'd have a different perspective.
People would think about him differently around the league. Bradley Beal is an average NBA player that people talked into being an all-star.
Yep.
So it's funny because that's the magic of the coach. I mean, if we really want to put a bow on this segment, I mean, that's the coach's superpower. Phil Jackson's superpower was somehow figuring out how to manage a room full of highly volatile independent contractors into pulling in the right direction.
How do you do what's worse for you but better for the team?
Yep.
That's a tough
That's
job.
the whole thing. The Lakers won't win until you talk Luka Doncic into playing defense and adjusting how he plays.
Yeah, good luck.
Right? Whoever trades for Trae Young. You think if the Wizards trade for Trae Young, you think he's passing ever again?
Right.
Well, let me put it this way. Do you think he's passing with over 4 seconds to go on the shot clock ever again?
Told you one of my favorite things about the show The Wire is the kids season, and then you see at the end of the kids season which adult they are replacing in the process of the drug system or the education system or whatever. Trae Young becoming the old maid in the NBA is a funny evolution in your career of like, he's good. Is he good? Is he on the wrong team? He's the old maid.
He's the old maid. Boom, the old maid. Wait till he makes all NBA because he puts up a bunch of stats with the Wizards and they have to give him the supermax.
Yeah, they can't move off him. He's too good.
So you got to give him the money.
Yeah, the true white elephant.
Old maid.
Yep.
Tale as old as time. All right. It is Tuesday. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Let's give them away.
It's Jazz Ticket Tuesday, and your chance to win tickets is right now.
Call this number now.
Call this number now.
Be caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. And you'll be on your way to Delta Center to see the Utah Jazz.
He fires the three. He hits. Oh, don't do me like that.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. You're going to get a pair of tickets to go see the Jazz and the Hornets on Saturday, January 10th at Delta Center at 7:30. 801-575-ZONE. More next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time to talk hockey with the Utah Mammoth and NHL insider on KSLSports.com, Cole Bagley on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is time to talk some Mammoth hockey. Covers the Mammoth for KSLSports.com. He's our buddy Cole Bagley. What's going on, Cole?
Not much. How are you guys doing?
We're doing terrific. Cole, you sound nice and clear on the stream. Probably see you on the YouTube stream as well. Very nice win last night for the Mammoth. In fact, they split 2 of 3 on this road trip in New York and New Jersey. What did you make of the last week?
Yeah, I mean, a successful road trip, right? Anytime that you can win 2 out of 3, even when you lose a game in the fashion that they did to the New Jersey Devils, to pick up 4 out of 6 points is huge. And that was a big game. Both, all the players, said that after the game. Andre Tourney had mentioned how important that game was for them. And, yesterday when Bill Armstrong was on with Hans and Scotty, he mentioned how big of a game that was, because it sets them up really well going into this next homestand, where I believe it's 7 straight, and then 10 of the next 14 going into the Olympic break are going to be on home ice. So last night was a must win, and they got it done. So now they're headed back to Salt Lake with 4 out of 6 possible points and a lot of confidence going into a critical stretch.
What does it do for Durzin specifically to bang home that game winner?
Yeah, it was big for him. Defensively this year, Durzin has struggled. Both him and Sergachev have been on the ice for quite a few goals. Obviously, they're playing against the best of the best most nights, but their plus minus is not very good. I believe collectively before last night it was -23. So, to have a bounce back game, against New Jersey, 2 or 3 of those goals were definitely on that top pair. Sergachev and Durzin, he kind of made some mistakes that were then exploited by the Devils. So to come back, against New York and to play as well as they did, especially after taking that late penalty for Durzin, when he came out of that box, he was a man on a mission. He almost called game in regulation, but then they go to overtime. He steps on the ice and puts himself in prime scoring position, scores one for the Mammoth, gets 2 points. And then, he shared in the post game that, he had recently lost his grandfather, and, that one was for him. So big for Durzin. I think it's been a little bit of a difficult season in terms of defensive production. So to get one offensively to secure 2 points, it's a big confidence boost for number 50.
Speaking of confidence, what do you think being named to the Olympic team does for Clayton Keller?
It's huge. This is something that Keller's been thinking about for a long time. We've had conversations with him dating back to last season, where this was one of the primary goals for him. Obviously, he's very much focused on the Mammoth and being the captain, but to be an Olympian is different. He's played for the United States for many, many years. He trained in their development program. He represented them at multiple World Juniors, and then as well at World Championships, captaining the United States to their first gold medal in 93 years this last summer. So, he certainly felt snubbed off of the Four Nations roster a season ago. He talked about that yesterday. And so for him to earn a position on the U.S. roster, as Bill Guerin described it, it's big for him. I think it's a huge confidence boost. It helps him know that he's one of the best players in the world. If you make the United States or Canada, you're revered as a top player on on a international scale. So huge for him. I know he's thrilled. I know it means a lot to him and his family. So, we'll see what he can do in Milan next month.
All right, 7 games now at home. Big, long homestand. To set a pace to make the playoffs, what do you think they need to do?
Yeah, over these next 14 games going into the break, with 10 of them at home, I think at a minimum you gotta win half. You gotta win at least 7 of those, but I think you need to probably win 9 or 10. The West right now is so close. I think from the top wild card spot down to I think 7th or 8th in the race is only a difference of about 4 points. And so every point right now is critical. Every point right now matters. And to, a lot of the conversations over the last few days have been not necessarily making excuses, but, recognizing how difficult the schedule's been. The Mammoth have played, I believe, the most games on the road. It's been 60% of their games have been on the road. They've had a lot of long, lengthy road trips. And so for now, now the season's, now the schedule is going to soften up a bit. It's going to be a lot more favorable. And now is the time, as Coach Torney put it, to prove who they felt that they could be. You have to go into this homestand, defend home ice. And I think, if you're playing 10 at home, you probably need to win 7 of those. And then you need over the next, 3 or 4 that you're playing on the road, you need to pick up probably at least 2. So, critical stretch for Utah as they, try to go into the Olympic break, obviously in contention of a playoff spot, but being in a wild card spot coming out of that would be huge for this team as Cooley is expected to be healthy after that break. And then going into the trade deadline, it could set Utah up to be buyers.
We're still 2 months out from the trade deadline. They did make a move last night after the win, Juuso Välimäki getting traded to the Canes. Do you expect him to be active? Do you think that's going to depend on what happens over the next, 14 games, like you said, going into the Olympic break?
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Bill this offseason, and, kind of his preseason approach was that Utah would definitely be a little bit more aggressive. But I think, to your point, Ben, I think it's going to be based on how these next 14 go. If they can win 8, 9, or 10 of these and be in a pretty good spot going into the break, once they come out of it, there's only I believe a week or 2 until the trade deadline. And so, that would set them up to be buyers, right? They want to make the playoffs. They have a lot of assets. They have an ability to go into the market and see if they can't add somebody, a player or two, who they think could put them over the top in terms of making the postseason. So, yeah, it's dependent on, how this next month goes. But if they can win, 60, 70% of those games, I think, and I would expect them to be a lot more aggressive.
How much does that depend on Veggie and the goaltending?
Yeah, I mean, winning starts, between the pipes. Oftentimes the team that wins the Stanley Cup is usually the team that has the best goaltender in the postseason, and generally, the teams that are making the playoffs are teams that have top half goalies. So he's been better over the last, I'd say, 4 to 6 weeks. December was actually a really good month for him. And, it's kind of ironic. He's actually tied for the most wins of a goaltender in the NHL right now. He has played, I believe, 31 or 32 games, and, the Mammoth have now played 43. So, he's in net, most nights, but yeah, it's everything. Goaltenders are one of the biggest pieces of, winning hockey. And it's because, when you make mistakes, they're back there to bail you out. They're there to make, those unexpected saves to keep you in a game. And that's what Vejmelka did last night. Utah easily could have trailed by, 2, 3, 4 goals, especially on that power play that New York had to kind of finish out the game in the third period. Vejmelka was spectacular. And I think over these last 3, 4 games, he's really put the team in a spot to win.
Based just on paper alone, what role do you think Clayton Keller will play for the U.S. Olympic team?
Yeah, it's a good question. The United States is just so deep. To have guys like Jack Eichel, the Tkachuk brothers, Austin Matthews, incredible defensemen and McAvoy and Hughes. I mean, some of the best players in the world, some of the best players at certain positions are on this U.S. roster. And so, while it's a big deal for Keller to make the team, it's going to be interesting to see how much he plays. I mean, I expect him to play at least one game during the round robin, But as they get into knockouts, I think unless he's just playing out of his mind or if he finds a, specific role, I would kind of anticipate to maybe more so see him as a healthy scratch. And that might, not be what Mammoth fans really want to hear, but I think that's just kind of the situation. I mean, USA is so good. This is probably the best U.S. team, Olympic U.S. team that we've seen since 2002. They're stacked. From top to bottom, every position is so competitive, and so yeah, I expect him to play a little bit, but like I said, unless he just catches fire or finds a specific role on the power play or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised if Keller's more of a healthy scratch type situation.
Cole, we appreciate you and all of your fine work. Thanks for jumping on the show, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Cole.
There you go, the one and only Cole Bagley with your Utah Mammoth update. It's brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together.
I obviously it'd be fun to see Logan Cooley, Clayton Keller go out there and play a lot in the Olympics. Also nice if some of these guys can get a little bit of a break. Go out there, get the experience, enjoy that time. But maybe don't put as much wear and tear on your body. Vemelka's got to go out there and play in goal for Czechia. It's just or Czechia, excuse me. That's a lot. I don't know how many games they're expected to play or win in the tournament. Maybe he'll end up getting a little break as well. But still a lot of wear and tear. It's extra games being played for a team that's going to be trying to make a playoff push when they return.
If it were me, I'd rather not play. Then you're just on vacation at the Olympics, which would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's ideal. Right? Go to Italy?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Then you're just bumping around. I'll be here if you need me.
I'm at the Coliseum. What do you mean you need me to play?
I might be able to get there by warm-up.
Coach, I'm in the Vatican. I'm under the Sistine Chapel.
Can't talk now.
I can't talk. They're coming for my phone.
See, that's actually ideal.
Pope Leo's right there.
It's the reason that I always preferred being a reliever as opposed to a starter.
Yeah.
I'll be here if you need me. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you don't need me.
Maybe not. I'll be chewing.
You think Pope Leo's upset that Bedard didn't make Team Canada?
Yeah, absolutely.
Big Chicago guy.
Yeah. But we got Murakami. Go with the White Sox. Everything's falling into place for us. Life's good. Yeah, he probably wanted to see Bedard. He probably wanted to see, who's their old guy that didn't make Team USA. Yeah, some issues there. Probably a little frustrated. The diehard.
You think he'll mention it at the pulpit?
I think he'll be at the Olympics. He's got to be the big face, right? He lives there. I think he lives there now, right? You got to move into the Vatican.
Well, yeah, you have to move in.
But Trump's always at Mar-a-Lago. Do you think he does that? Do you think he's got a place where he's like, nah, I'm freaking in my Redstone or whatever. I've got my other spot I like to hang out at.
I honestly have no idea.
I have no idea either. I'm not that familiar with the politics of the Catholic Church.
Well, there's all sorts of
their living arrangements, at least, yeah.
Cathedrals and stuff like that all over there. I mean,
right.
Can he treat that like a vacation house?
Yeah, can he dip away? No, have you seen this?
Yeah. There's old Catholic churches everywhere. Can he just move into the basement when he feels like taking a vacation?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, I'm going to be staying in the nave for a while.
Yeah, right.
Alert security.
This is better.
All right. Shout out to Cole. Thanks to him.
I'm going to be in Verona for a few weeks.
For jumping on. We'll wrap up the show. Coming up next, Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him make jokes and also loves his tie guy. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the family this weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, Jake. Have a good one, man.
I had been talking to Bartle for 20 straight minutes. I know I was a little sick there. I'm still a little under the weather, but 20 straight minutes, one-on-one, me and Steve Z. And then he hits me with the thanks, Jake.
Shout out to Steve.
Cruel.
Always has been.
Appreciate you, Jake. Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
What?
Always been one of my favorites. Shout out to the Bartler himself.
20 straight minutes. Bartle me this, Steve. What were you thinking?
That he was talking to me.
Apparently.
Or maybe he thinks that I've been all along.
Has no idea which one is which. Oh!
I mean,
makes more sense.
Ron Boone basically has no idea what I look like.
Told you, Ron, one time knowing my name was the biggest surprise I've ever had. And I don't know why. I just, I worked with Ron and talked to Ron, but usually it's, on the other side of a microphone. We don't see each other a whole lot.
Uh-huh.
And he walked in, he said, Ben, why did you never say hi to me? I thought, I didn't know you knew what my name was, Ron. And I grew up in Utah. You've been a legend in this state. Truly my entire life. I didn't think you knew who I was, but he's not a big timer.
No, he's not. He does his thing. I talk to Ron every single game. I do not see Ron every single game. And every time I do see Ron, he looks at me like, hey there, guy.
Yeah. That's what I thought too. And then I was wrong, and he called me out in front of everybody, which was rightfully so. Anyways, he didn't Steve me.
Speaking of
Dynamite, you know my name.
Speaking of Dynamite color analysts like the legend Ron Boone, apparently Snoop Dogg was on the Clippers broadcast.
He was on the Peacock broadcast.
Oh, was that what it was?
Night. So Peacock was carrying the game, and I think it was RJ, Snoop, it was Reggie. Excuse me, Reggie Miller, Snoop, and I didn't even recognize the actual play-by-play guy. And Snoop kind of took over the show. Some good, some bad. Sometimes he just kept talking. He kept doing this funny announcer voice where he was trying to sound really official. It's like, the game is over, the lights are off, and the Clippers have won the game. He kept doing that. At least he's being playful. Like, at least he's not too afraid to say anything.
He's funny.
And he was funny last night, but then there were some highlights where he actually got to get into it.
So is this the Steve Kerr ejection then? All right, so Steve Kerr lost his mind, I did see that. I did not hear the Snoop Dogg call, but I did see Steve Kerr absolutely lose his mind. And it does make me laugh when Steve Kerr's acting like he's going after the ref physically. Did you see Gary Payton Jr., who's just basically touching his arm to hold him back? He's not even putting effort into it.
Right.
Steve, hold him back!
Was Steve going to beat somebody up in the middle of...
Sure you are, Steve. How's that back? Anyway, I hear Snoop Dogg's call of it was pretty funny. I'm looking forward to this.
Go to the rack, Draymond all the way. Good pass. Ooh! Ooh, he snapped the break. He Windex shine that. Get off the Windex shine.
That hit the backboard. Oh, look at Steve Kerr. He's all the way out here.
Uh-oh, Steve, don't get thrown out. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Back him up. Back him up, GP. Back him up. Steve ready to fire on him.
He's already gone.
Steve banging Inglewood right now. Inglewood. Get him, Steve. You and Inglewood, Steve. The Arizona Wildcat that came out and look at him.
First of all, there is a lot going on there. There is a lot of Snoop talking over all of the action, and that was a lot of the night. Snoop was probably not some people's cup of tea. Honestly, it was a variation of Bill Walton.
Okay.
You know how Bill talked a lot, sometimes nonsensically.
Whatever was on the top of his head.
But if you liked that, you were going to enjoy Snoop last night. But if you wanted a traditional call, you were not going to get it. I was also surprised at how much Snoop actually kind of knew about what was going on. He was actually dialed. He's like a big basketball fan.
He's a basketball guy,
He's a sports fan. He's a basketball fan.
No, he played basketball in high school.
I think in high school. His son played college football, right? So, yeah, he's been bought in. He certainly is a huge sports fan. He's a Steelers guy, right, if I remember correctly. So he pays attention. But, knowing some history with Steve Kerr, knowing some of those things, he had some insight, but also was just somewhat laughable. The game was close late. The Warriors needed a three, and he was talking about, no, I don't think they should go for a three. I think they should go and try and get Jimmy Butler to get an and one. I was like, that's actually kind of interesting insight that nobody else would say. So it wasn't a total failure. I don't know if they'll bring him back.
He knew that Steve Kerr went to Arizona.
Yeah, exactly right. He had some real insight.
Yes, well, I don't know if knowing Steve Kerr went to Arizona is actual insight, but yeah. Was it better or worse than the all players broadcast used to be?
Better.
Because those were the worst things I've ever heard.
It was better.
Okay.
Because he at least followed the action. It wasn't just talking about his career or whatever. He was kind of into the action, and he knew all the players. So it could have been way worse, and it was not.
Speaking of that, I saw a funny, you know how Paul Pierce is always overstating how good he was? Mm-hmm. He sent out some tweet yesterday that was like, I could get I don't even remember the stats he put out there, but like 5 points and whatever in 22 minutes in today's game. And somebody retweeted and said, Paul Pierce's final season, and it was like 3.1 points per game.
Right. It's this weird, I could throw a football over a mountain, that just comes for everybody. Again, we've talked so much about human response to leaving a team, leaving a league, moving on, and what you want for that former team. Every player seems to have this misunderstanding of who they were at the end of their career.
Well, every player wants to make it about them, which I get it. If you want to think of Charles Barkley actually doesn't make it about him. Now, it becomes about what he says, but it's not about him. Charles doesn't just spin yarns about when he played against Otis Thorpe. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I find Shaq obnoxious. You brought up the Shaq, Rudy, whatever that is because Shaq makes it about him.
Yeah.
Well, I was a big man in my day, and this is how we were measured, and this is how we were paid, and I'm going to resent this guy because he's not how I was or how this was or that was, and it becomes about Shaq and is measuring himself to Rudy Gobert. Charles Barkley never does stuff like that. I think the best analysts are the ones that – now, I'm not talking even about sports radio or anything like that. I'm talking about in-game analysts are the ones who – keep it about
what's on the floor,
the game or whatever. And if you want to draw a comparison to when you played or something like that, you can't, but you don't make it all about you.
If you want to use your experience to say, hey, when I was a quarterback, this is what I saw. Or when I was a point guard, this is what I was looking for, and he did this. Not this is what I would do or this is what I was able to do that he can't.
I want to know what Reggie Miller thinks about Keontae George when he's calling the game, not the one time he cooked Craig Elo.
Yeah. Right. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the good old days.
No, not in that setting. If you want to do a podcast where you and another player swap stories and that's what I'm actually getting into, I'll listen to that.
But again, to the point of why it's hard to make that transition, again, we've talked about how good Hans is at this. Hans does not just ruminate about his career and about what he did. Hans takes his experience as a BYU player, as an NFL player, and knows how to translate that into what is happening on the field right now to talk about what is working and what's not working.
I don't know. He talks about that game against San Diego State a lot.
I
recovered a fumble this and I scored that. I mean, it's just constant.
Well, that footage relives forever. I don't know if it's in infamy or just famously. But,
here's what I love about Hans, honestly.
It is still out there.
Is he was so, if you've heard him tell the story about celebrating the football or his touchdown against San Diego State.
The flail.
He's really mad at how it turned out because it was just a instantaneous thing.
Spur of the moment.
And he's actually thought out what his entire touchdown celebration would be had he scored again. And it involves like rodeo and lassoing teammates and all sorts of stuff.
Never got back there. Never got in the end zone again.
Oh, man, I love Hans. Speaking of Hans, he and Scotty G are coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Christian.
On the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.